What if I told you that one 15-minute conversation could put an extra $330,000 in your pocket over the next 20 years? Not from a side hustle, not from crypto, from saying the right words at the right time to the person who signs your paycheck. Today, I'm giving you the exact script, word for word, that you can use in your next performance review or job offer to land a $10,000 raise or more. We're talking real phrases you can memorize, real scenarios you'll actually face, and the research-backed timing that makes managers say yes instead of, let me get back to you. Because here's the thing. In 2026, the average raise in America is 3.5%. On an $80,000 salary, that's $2,800. That's not a raise. That's an insult wrapped in a thank you email. Meanwhile, studies show that people who actually negotiate earn almost 19% more than people who just accept what they're given. 85% of people who counter an offer get at least some of what they ask for, but 58% of Americans never even try. That means most people are leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table over their careers because nobody taught them what to say. Today, that changes. If you're middle class and ready to own your worth, let's get that bag. Before we get to the scripts, we need to talk about the step most people skip, and it's the reason most negotiations fail before they even start. Research. You cannot walk into a room and say, "I deserve more," without receipts. That's not negotiating. That's hoping. And hope is not a compensation strategy. Here's exactly what you need to do. Step 1. Build your achievement file. Starting right now, write down every measurable thing you've done for your employer in the last 12 months. Not, "I worked hard," not, "I'm a team player." Actual numbers. Things like, "I led the project that reduced customer churn by 15%, saving the company $200,000 annually." Or, "I trained 4 new hires who are now fully productive, saving 6 weeks of onboarding time." If you can't put a dollar sign or a percentage next to it, keep digging until you can. Step 2. Research your market value. Go to at least 3 of these sources and write down what people in your role, in your city, with your experience are earning. The Bureau of Labor Statistics gives you the government baseline. Robert Half's 2026 salary guide is one of the most trusted benchmarks for professional roles. Levels.fyi is the gold standard if you're in tech. Payscale and Glassdoor give you company-specific data. And here's a power move most people don't know about. 15 states now require employers to post salary ranges on job listings. So search for your exact title on LinkedIn or Indeed. Filter by your city, and you'll see what companies are actually paying right now. That's not a guess. That's market intelligence. Step 3. Set your target. Aim 10 to 20% above your current salary or the initial offer. That's your opening anchor. On 80,000, that means you're walking in asking for 88 to 96,000. And I know what some of you are thinking. That feels aggressive. It's not. It's math. Because here's what the data says. A $10,000 raise on 80,000 is a 12.5% bump. That single raise, compounded at 5% annual growth, adds up to over $125,000 in extra earnings over 10 years. Over 20 years, it's $330,000. And that doesn't even count your 401k match. If your employer matches 3 to 6%, that $10,000 raise generates an extra $3,800 to $7,600 in retirement contributions in year 1 alone. One conversation, $330,000. Now let me give you the exact words. Scenario 1. You're asking for a raise during your performance review. This is the most common situation, and timing is everything. Most companies set salary budgets in the 3rd and 4th quarter, September through November, for raises that take effect in January. By the time your manager sits across from you in December, the money is already allocated. So the move is to start the conversation 6 to 12 weeks before your review cycle. You send your manager a message that says something like, "Hey, I'd love to schedule some time to discuss my contributions and growth trajectory. I've been reflecting on the impact I've had this year, and I'd like to talk about how we can align my compensation with the value I'm bringing. Would next week work?" That's it. Calm, professional, no demands. You're planting the seed. Then, when you're in the room, here's the script. Over the past 12 months, I've delivered some results I'm really proud of. Specifically, I led the implementation of our new CRM system, which reduced response times by 30% and directly contributed to a 15% increase in customer retention. I've also taken on mentoring responsibilities for 3 junior team members, 2 of whom have already been promoted. Based on my research using PayScale, the Robert Half Guide, and current job postings for similar roles in our market, the median compensation for someone with my experience and responsibilities falls between 90 and 95,000. I'm currently at 80. I'd like to discuss an adjustment to 90,000 to reflect the value I'm delivering. What are your thoughts? Then you stop talking. That silence is your friend. Let them process. If they say the budget is tight, and they will, you say this: "I completely understand budget constraints. Could we explore other options? For example, a performance-based bonus tied to specific targets, additional PTO, a professional development budget, or a clear timeline with defined milestones for reaching that number within the next 6 months." You're not begging. You're problem solving with them. That reframe changes everything. Scenario 2. You just got a job offer and you want to negotiate before accepting. The key here is to never accept on the spot. You say, "Thank you so much. I'm genuinely excited about this opportunity and I can see myself making a real impact here. I'd like to take a day or two to review the full offer. Can I get back to you by Thursday?" That buys you time without creating tension. Then, when you call back, here's what you say: "I've had a chance to review the offer, and I want to reiterate how excited I am about this role. I see a real opportunity to streamline your onboarding process and drive efficiency across the team. That said, based on my 7 years of experience and the current market data I've gathered, roles with this scope and responsibility in our area are compensating between 95 and 105,000. The offer of 85 is a strong starting point, but I need to be closer to 95 to make this move. Is there flexibility there?" If they say no to the base salary, pivot immediately. "I understand. What about a signing bonus to bridge that gap? Or additional equity? I'm also open to discussing remote flexibility or an accelerated review at 6 months with a clear path to that number." Remember, 73% of employers actually expect you to negotiate. You're not being difficult. You're being professional. Scenario 3. You've been hit with a lowball, either in a review or an offer, and you need to counter without burning the bridge. Here's the script. "I appreciate you putting this together, and I respect the process, but I want to be transparent. Based on my research and the contributions I've made, specifically generating over $300,000 in new revenue this fiscal year, this number falls below the market range of $90,000 to $100,000 for this role. I'd like to find a way to close that gap. Could we meet at 92? I think that's a fair reflection of both my impact and the market." The key there is you're not emotional. You're not saying, "I deserve more." You're citing data and framing it as a collaboration. That approach works because research from Harvard shows that framing your request around organizational value rather than personal need reduces backlash significantly. especially for women and people of color who studies show face a higher social penalty for negotiating. Speaking of which, let me say this directly. If you're a person of color watching this, the wage gap data is real and it's getting worse. In 2024, Black women earned 64.6 cents for every dollar white men made. Latinas earned 58 cents. Over a 30-year career, that gap adds up to over $850,000 in lost earnings. Negotiation won't fix a systemic problem overnight, but every dollar you claim back through data-driven advocacy is a dollar the system didn't want you to have. Your script isn't just a career move, it's a wealth-building act. Now let me rapid-fire the mistakes that will kill your negotiation before it starts. Mistake 1, being vague. I feel like I deserve more is not a negotiation. Bring numbers, always. Mistake 2, only negotiating base salary. Total compensation includes bonuses, equity, PTO, remote flexibility, professional development funds, and title changes. A higher title alone can be worth tens of thousands at your next job. Mistake 3, not having a walkaway point. Know your minimum before you walk in. If they can't meet it, you say, I understand. I appreciate the conversation. Can we revisit this in 6 months with clear performance benchmarks? That keeps the door open without selling yourself short. Mistake 4, not following up in writing. After any verbal agreement, send an email within 24 hours summarizing what was discussed and agreed upon. This protects you. Mistake 5, not practicing out loud. A script on paper means nothing if you've never heard yourself say it. Practice with a friend, a partner, or even just in front of a mirror. The phrases need to feel natural coming out of your mouth, not like you're reading a teleprompter. And here's a pro tip from Chris Voss, the former FBI hostage negotiator. Use mirroring. When your manager says something like, well, the budget situation is complicated right now, you repeat the last few words back as a question. Complicated right now? Then stay quiet. It makes people elaborate and often reveal flexibility they weren't planning to share. So let's zoom out. In 2026, the average raise is 3.5%. That's not keeping up with your ambition, your cost of living, or your value. But the data says 85% of people who ask for more get it. The average negotiated increase is almost 19% above the initial offer. And a single $10,000 raise compounds into over $330,000 over 20 years. You now have the exact words for a performance review, a job offer, and a lowball counter. You have the research tools, the timing strategy, and the mistakes to avoid. The only thing standing between you and that money is the decision to open your mouth and use this script. So here's what I want you to do. Save this video. Watch it again the night before your conversation. And then come back and tell me in the comments that you got that raise. I want to celebrate with you. If this helped, smash that subscribe button. We drop new videos every week breaking down the exact systems that build real wealth for real people. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's close those gaps together.